guitar, and we're on day 10, I believe. So, up to this point, you've learned how to tune the instrument, you've learned how to play a little bit, you've learned some different chord shapes, you've learned things like C, A, G, E, D major, you've learned all of those in the minor form. So now you're really starting to go from beginning guitar, and you're kind of accelerating toward intermediate guitar. And it's in this time that people really start to kind of discover what they like the most. And I would like to spend more time doing rhythm. However, it is a little bit tricky with this layout. I would like to be able to play something and then hear you play it back so I can tell whether you're on time or not. But in the end, it comes down to you and whether you want to practice with a metronome. So I highly recommend that you practice with a metronome. So all of these exercises that we do, everything from the chromatic scale, everything can be done with a metronome. And it's easy to find these. You can find them on the browser. So if you just type it into your smartphone or laptop or computer, you can also find them in app form, right? So some of the metronome, like metronome beats, some of those apps, they work quite well. You just set a tempo. So you set a certain beats per minute, and then it plays back some kind of sound for you to align your rhythm to. Now that's really important, okay? And I also think that rhythm is an often under-focused aspect of music that actually probably has the greatest impact on your emotions when you listen to music. So really pay attention to rhythm. Take more time out of your practice cycle to include the metronome, to include practicing different speeds, different rhythms in general. A lot of times when people are learning an instrument, they just learn at the exact same speed, not just mentally, but physically. They pick the same speed to learn. And I really recommend you change it up. So maybe you challenge yourself and you push yourself. How fast can you climb up one string on the chromatic scale? And try to be consistent. Right? If that's too fast, maybe you start slower and you build yourself back up. But you always want to challenge yourself and see if you can go faster, if you can do better. And again, I don't recommend going fast in the beginning for brand new players of guitar. But it is important at some point to really get your speed up, because the faster your hands can move, the more it means you've established a connection with your brain to your fingers. So you have the skills at that point. So enough talk. Let's get into today's lesson. And today's lesson is going to be centered around the rest of the modes. So we covered, to my knowledge, the Ionian and the Aeolian modes. If I didn't do that on day 9, I'll do them now. So if this is review, so be it. It doesn't hurt anyone. It helps me, it helps you. So I'm going to skip the chromatic scale and the natural note scale because we've done that so many days now that I think if you need review on that, you can go watch those videos. So let's dive into the Ionian Mode review. We'll start with our middle finger on the 8th fret position. And for this, I'm going to adjust the camera so we get back to the neck position, okay? So let me briefly... Okay. So, for the Ionian mode, we're going to start with our middle finger on the 8th fret position. So this right here would be 6. That's not going to work. How do I know it's 6? Well, this is the 1st fret, this is the 2nd fret, and so on and so forth. So for this, we want to be on the 8th fret. So we're going to be up here. This is the 8th fret on the guitar. The double dot normally indicates that you're at the 12th fret, so you can climb down if you need to. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Okay? Now, rewind the tape just one last time. How do I know that the 8th fret is where I want to start? Because what we're doing right now is called C Ionian, or the major scale. And you may recognize this if you took piano or any music theory. But really what I'm trying to do is use the C note, which is here on the 8th fret of the E string. And I'm going to start on that note when I build this scale. If you need to review, do it, okay? So how do you find E? Well, you climb. E, F, how do you find C? You climb. E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, A sharp, B, and here's C on the 8th fret right here. So break out your piano picture, your keyboard image, whatever you're using as your reference point so that you can see whether you're on track or not with the notes that we're using. Because we're going to be climbing up the keyboard really, and that relationship in our mind between the keyboard and the guitar fretboard is critical for us to really understand where those sharp notes are and what exactly we're playing. So here we go. We're going to play the Ionian Mode. That's the C Ionian, the C natural note, and the major scale. All of those descriptors work. It's all the same thing if you're starting on C. So here we go. We're on C. We're doing Ionian Mode. We play the C note. Now we need the D note because we're going to skip all of the sharps, right? So this one is D. The note in between right here is C sharp. So we're going to use our pinky to skip over that and play D. The next note we need is E. So if this one is D, technically this one would be D sharp and then this one would be E, right? But we're not going to stretch that far. We're going to go to the next string down, and that string is going to play the next note for us. That's how the guitar works. We move vertically to go up in pitch. So this one right here gives us C. The pinky here gives us D. Now our index finger on that A string on the 7th fret will produce the E note that we need. Okay, so once again, we start with the middle finger here, that plays C, then we play with our pinky to get D, and then we use our index on the next string down, just 1 fret below, and that gives us E. So we're going to continue with this exact same logic. Okay, so here's E, and remember E and F, there's nothing in between E and F on that keyboard. If you take a look at that piano, there is nothing between E and F. Therefore, we need to use this fret right here, because if this one's E and there's nothing in between, we have to go to the very next one. So there's F. Then we're going to skip over this one because that's F sharp, and we're going to play G. Nearly there. So this one's G, and again, in this position, it's kind of impossible for us to physically stretch and hit this. So instead, we're going to go from this pinky on the A string and move down with the index to the next string, which is the D string. Okay? And that's A. Okay? Right there on the 7th fret on the D string, that's A. Next, we need a B. A has a sharp, so we're going to skip over this one, use a ring finger to play that B note. And finally, we're just going to go from B to C, and B has nothing in between itself and C. There's nothing between B and C, so you're just going to use your pinky right next door to produce C. So that's the first octave, the first 12 tones, sorry, the first 7 notes that we're going to play for the Ionian mode. Here we go. 8 on the E string, then 10. Then index on the A string on the 7th fret. Okay, so C, D, E. Right next door is F. Pinky gives us G. Next string down gives us A. Skip over your middle finger, use your ring to get B, and then pinky plays the last note, C again. So technically we're playing 8 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're just repeating that C note. And you might take this moment to appreciate that the E string and the D string, when separated by 2 frets like this, produce that octave. They produce the exact same sound. So if I just isolate with my fingers these 2 notes, you see that? The E string on the 8 and the ring finger on the 10 of the D string. It's the same exact note, and you can use this anywhere. Pretty cool, okay? I think I just played White Stripes. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, that's White Stripes. Okay, So there you go, right? You can use all these little tricks and hear all these little great songs. Now, let's move on to the more important thing, finishing the C Ionian scale, the C Ionian mode. I'm going to use a lot of these terms interchangeably, and it's not meant to confuse you. They really do mean similar, if not the same things. So I'm trying to get them into your brain so you're kind of using the right terminology, because they are correct terms. The C scale, the C major scale, is exactly the same as the C Ionian mode. So that's what we're doing, the mode. That's where we left off on that higher C note using our pinky. The next note we need is D. So if you recall from your practice on the chromatic scale and the natural note scale, that the 5th fret position is the one that's different on the G string. It's a C note, not B. Every other string, when you hold it on the 5th fret, plays the same note as the open string below it. Remember? So the E string on 5 gives you A, the 5th fret of A gives you D, the 5th fret of D gives you G, and then here's the tricky one, right? G on the 5th fret does not give you the next open string. It does not give you B. It gives you C. So because I know that, I also know that the 7th fret on that G is a D note, right? So here's my D that I was looking for. Let's go back and play that C Ionian one more time. So starting with that middle finger on the 8th fret position, E string, right? C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Next note we needed was a D note, and we just walked ourselves through that logically. That's on the 7th fret with the index finger. Lucky for us. Next we need E, so we're going to use our ring finger, because we know that D has a sharp. We have to skip over the lava. So here's E. F is going to be right next door. We can use our pinky here. Okay? There's our F. Next we need a G note. That's not going to be it. The index is not going to be it. There we go. But that doesn't sound right to me. It sounds like there's an error somewhere. So let's work our way back through it. C, D, E, F is next door. G, A, B, and C is next door. Next we have D, then E, then F, then G. Okay, I guess it's right. Then we need A, which is past the G sharp up to the A. Then we need a B note. That's same as this string up here, right? The top and bottom strings are the same. And this one's B. Then the middle finger will give us C once again. Because that's how we started, right here. And because of the same string, basically, same note, it has to end there with the middle finger again. So this is an example of how you logic your way through a mode. Now let's play it through again. And I'll say the notes out loud for you. Starting on the 8th fret with the middle finger. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now I'll give you the fret numbers and the string names. So on the E, 8, 10. On the A, 7, 8, 10. On the D string, 7, 9, 10. On the G string, 7, 9, 10. On the B string, 8, 10. And on the E string, 7 and 8. Okay? Not so bad. Go steadily but surely, get used to it, and try going backwards. So now the trickiest part that no one ever wants to do is going backwards. But we have to be able to do this. So let's try it. Using our middle finger again on the 8th fret, we're going to start there, holding with our index below. That's a really valuable technique on guitar. So let me zoom in so you can really see that. When you're playing guitar, it's really important that when you know you're going to be going downward, when you're descending in pitch, when you're playing left on your guitar, assuming you're right-handed, you want to begin with both fingers down, or as many fingers as needed, while you're going downward. If you were to play without your index and then add it on, it would create a rest, a pause, a break, and that would not sound pleasant. So we start with both fingers engaged on the string. That way when we relieve the middle finger, the index was already there to catch the tension so it didn't sound rough. That's what we want. So we work our way backwards. We play 8, 7. Next, we're going to play with our pinky, remember? So that's on the B string 10, then the 8th, oops. Then we go to the G string, also with the pinky, then ring finger on 9, index on 7, and D string on the 10. So this one's C. We're moving backwards, so we need a B, and that's going to be right next door. Then we need an A. Then we're moving down to G here, pinky. Then F, so we're going to skip over that G flat. Then E. Then D and C. Okay, give this a try. Try going up and down, so climb using that 8th fret position. Try doing it upwards, and then see if you can come backwards. And that's really the tricky part, is coming backwards, because you have to remember where your fingers went. And as you're beginning on the guitar, it's really important that you don't move your hand left and right. Just keep it consistent. When your middle finger is occupying the 8th fret, that means your index is occupying the 7th. Your ring finger is occupying the 9th, and the pinky is occupying the 10th. That's your logic. So keep your position. Don't change your position. Keep it just like this, and it will be fine. Oops. Oops. And you will make mistakes, but if you know what the correct notes are because you're methodical, you'll be able to hear when it's incorrect later, and that's really important. So the fact that I can hear when it's wrong is important, because then I can check myself and go, okay, let me try that again and do it correctly, right? And in my head are these notes. But honestly, after time goes by, I don't really think much about the notes themselves. I just think about the feel, the vibe, the energy, I don't know. It's a mysterious entity, right? It's a mysterious force. And it's an intuitive process that you have to build up through practice. And it's important, because then you're going to have this shape, this pattern in your left hand that will be second nature to you. You won't have to actually think scientifically, what's the next note? I don't know. You won't have to do that. There we go, I fixed it, right? And that's what you need to do. So, take some time, maybe 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, and practice all of these materials. And I'll see you for the last part of today's class. All right, so for the next segment, we're gonna piggyback off of the same stuff we were doing with the Ionian mode, and we're gonna talk about the Aeolian mode. So with the Aeolian mode, we're gonna start on the 5th fret, and that's starting on the A note. So really what we're doing is we're playing a completely different vibe here. When we start on the A note, so this position right here on the E string, you see how if this is the headstock, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is 5, right? So this note is A. If you climb up, you'll find that out. E, F, sharp, G, sharp, A, right? So we're going to start this one on the A string. Oh, sorry, the A note position. And this is going to be what we call Aeolian. And it's really exciting. It's also called the natural minor scale. It's also called the A natural note scale. All three of those names work perfectly fine. I'm going to call it the Aeolian mode because that's what it is, and that's the vibe. Let's get into it. 5th fret, index finger. That's A. Now we need to use our ring to produce B. And then we're going to use our pinky to produce C. So that's 5, 7, 8 on that first string. A, B, C. You're going to like this because it's alphabetical. Now we're going to find a D note. And the question is, where is that going to be? So A, B, C. D, index finger right here. So A, B, C, D. So the index finger, just like with the Ionian, is going to step down to the next string. But with Aeolian, we're going C, D, E, A, B, C, D, then E with the ring finger, and then F is right next door. Then we have the G note down here with the index again, 5th fret. Then A with the ring. And this would be A sharp, right? So we can't do that one. But that would be the complete circuit with our ring finger. So if I read it out to you with the string and fret positions, it would be E, 5, 7, 8, A, 5, 7, 8, D, 5, 7. Very easy, very straightforward, right? So that's one octave, 8 notes that we just played, A to A. Now let's continue. So this one's A right here with our ring finger. D string, 7th fret gives us A, right? Okay, so now we've got A here and we need a B note. Well, we know that that 5th fret position on the G is the problem child. It is not a B. It is not the same as the open string. It is a C note. That's not what we need. So here's our A. We need a B note. So we could either reach with our index over here, or we could produce a super pinky with this hand position. And I'm going to go for the super pinky. So here's A. We're going to skip over A sharp and play B with a super pinky. Okay? So there's B. Now we need a C, so we go to the G string on the 5th fret. Then we need a D, so ring finger. Then we need an E, so that will be on the B string 5th fret. Then we need an F, middle finger, right next door, right? So then a G with our pinky, and then an A again. And that's the whole thing. So there's only one super pinky involved in this one. Let's break it down again by note. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Super pinky B, C, D, E, F, G, A. I'll give you a new angle. Maybe it'll make it a little bit easier, hopefully. Maybe not that angle. Let me try this way. No, that won't work either. Okay, I guess we'll do dead on. I think that's fine. So we will stay dead on. Okay. So again, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. By fret, I'm just going to call the frets now. I'm not going to say the string names anymore because I'm sure you got them. 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 9, 5, 7, 5, 6, 8, 5. And that's the Aeolian mode, the A natural minor or the A natural note scale. It's really beautiful. It's very sad. And the reason I taught you these was because I may have said this before, but knowing the Ionian mode and the Aeolian mode, knowing the major scale as well as the minor scale, gives you power because the majority of music is composed in either a major or a minor key. Therefore, chances are, if you can play this shape, if you can memorize this feeling, this vibe, you can play along with pretty much anything out there. And that's really empowering. So in advanced guitar, we will translate these shapes to different positions and talk about what that means and what happens to the notes. But for now, we're just going to practice getting our hands into it, the physical aspect. So we're going to play backwards now with the Aeolian mode. So index is the one that starts here on that A string, that A note. Working backwards, we're going to use our pinky on that B string on the 8th fret. Then we need So this is C, this is A, this is G. Then we need an F, so we're going to skip over this G flat and play F. And E is right next door, so we just play there, 5th fret. Now we need to move up here. Oh, that's not quite right. There we go, that's the one. So let me start over. A, G, F, E, now I need a D. So it's going to be here. Then C, then B. And remember, B was a super pinky, so we have to really reach here onto that D string. Good, there's D, then C. Oh, sorry, there's A, excuse me. B, A, G. Next string down is that pinky. There we go. Let me work my way backwards so I don't get lost. A, G, F, E, D, C, B with a super pinky, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. And this is really the one that you want to get down because it is so exciting to play along with music. It sounds so good on the electric guitar. So give this one a whirl, the Aeolian Mode. You've got both. If you go to the 8th fret here with your middle finger, you're already telling your mind and your fingers at the same time. You're kind of creating a connection there. You're instilling something there. I'm going to do the major scale now, right? That's what you're doing. And it will be second nature. When you feel that you're starting on that middle finger, it will probably become second nature, that you're doing the Ionian Mode now. So, again, the Ionian Mode was on the 8th fret, and it's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And the Aeolian Mode started with the index finger on the 5th fret, and that was A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Then B with the super pinky, C, D, then E, F, G, and A. Not so bad. We've got 2 modes. We've spent ample time getting accustomed to them, getting familiar with them, and now really what we need to do is put on some music that we like and see if we can get it to work. Now the question obviously is, how in the world is it going to work if those songs aren't playing C, if they're not playing A? Well, that's the beauty of the guitar. You take the same exact shape, you take the exact same pattern, and you move it anywhere you want, and it will still be consistent. It will still be true. Just to illustrate this before we send you away, we played the C Ionian Mode on the 8th fret, and we played the A Aeolian Mode on the 5th fret. Now it's time to pull it back and try something a little more challenging. I'm going to play the C Aeolian Mode and the A Ionian Mode. Which one do you want me to do first? I'll do the C Aeolian Mode. So for that, I'm going to start index finger on the 8th fret because that's the C note. And I'm going to use the same pattern as what I used down when I did the A Aeolian. I'm just doing it up here. So it's still consistent. All right? I'm not going to say the notes out loud because I don't want to confuse you, but I will do the same pattern. And hopefully you can hear when it sounds right and when it sounds wrong. So just as a recap, let me play the A Aeolian, and then I'll go right into playing the C Aeolian. And this will be a great exercise for your practice. Now that's fun. I can play it in two different positions on the guitar. And if you're playing along with a song that has lots of chord changes, lots of stuff going on, and you're able to play the same thing in different spots, you're going to trick the audience. It's the magic trick of the guitar. You're going to convince them that you're doing something different, but you're not. You're doing the exact same pattern. But because you're playing different notes, it sounds very different, at least to the normal listener. So that's one way you can cast a magic spell. And that's really what we want to do with this thing, right?